Whispering Pages presents The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Chapter 16. An Argument. Mary had almost forgotten about seeing Colin that afternoon. After lunch, she asked Martha to tell him that she couldn't come till later. "That will put him in a bad mood," Martha said fearfully. But Mary wasn't used to thinking of others' feelings. She didn't understand how lonely life could be for a person who was ill and nervous and thought he couldn't control his temper. She and Deacon worked all afternoon. They rested a little and Deacon played a song on his flute. He told her about the trees that would bloom before spring was over: apple, cherry, peach, and plum. As the sun set, they promised to return to the garden the next morning. When she returned, Martha was waiting. Her face was not happy. "Mr. Colin's been acting terrible all afternoon," Martha said. "We have had quite a time keeping him quiet. You should have gone to see him today." But Mary didn't feel guilty or afraid when she went to his room. She marched straight up to him and said, "Why are you still in bed?" "I got up this morning thinking you were coming," he said. "Looked away, but I made them put me in bed this afternoon. My back and my head ached. Why didn't you come?" "I was in the garden with Deacon," she said. "I won't let him come here any more," said Colin in his Raja manner. Mary grew angry, stiff and stubborn. "If you send Deacon away, I will never visit you again." "I will make you," he shouted. "They will drag you here." "Oh, will they, Mr. Raja?" Mary said fiercely. "But they can't make me talk to you or look at you." Even though they couldn't have a rough and tumble fight, they could yell and shout. "You are selfish," Colin cried. "No, you are selfish," Mary shouted. "I'm not as selfish as Deacon," Colin yelled. "He keeps you playing in the dirt when he knows I'm here all alone." Mary's eyes flashed with anger. "Deacon's nicer than any other boy," she exclaimed. "He's magical. He's like an angel." "He's just a common country boy," Colin said with a sneer. "He's better than a common Raja," Mary shouted back. Their arguing was getting the better of Colin. He had never had a fight with anyone who argued back, so he turned his head away and cried a little tear of self-pity. "I'm not selfish," he whimpered. "I'm ill. I have a lump on my back and I'm going to die soon. You are not," Mary said frostily. "But I am. Everybody says so," Colin cried. "I don't believe it," Mary said sourly. "You say that to make people sorry for you. You are proud of it." At that, Colin was so angry that he forgot his aching back and sat straight up. "Get out of my room," he screamed. He threw his pillow at her. It landed at her feet. Mary went to the door. She stopped to say, "I was going to tell you all sorts of nice things about Deacon's fox cub and his crow, but now I won't tell you a single thing," and she stormed out. Walking back to her room, Mary felt cross. She was thinking that she wouldn't tell Colin about the secret garden. It would serve him right. Then she remembered how afraid Colin was that he would become a hunchback and die. She knew he had tantrums when he was tired and afraid. Just maybe he was thinking about lumps because he was alone this afternoon. She thought, "I think I will go see him tomorrow even if he throws up pillows at me." Chapter 17. A Tantrum. But Mary didn't see Colin the next day. Instead, She worked in the garden till sunset. She was very tired and went to bed soon after supper. She decided to see her cousin the following afternoon. In the middle of the night, dreadful noises awoke her. She heard doors slamming and someone crying and screaming horribly. "It's Colin," she said. "He's having hysterics." Just listening made her feel sick and shivery. She pressed her hands to her ears, but the noise was too loud. She wanted to have a tantrum herself, to frighten Colin as much as he was frightening everyone else. Mary hurried to Colin's room. The closer she got, the louder were his screams. She slapped open his door and ran to his bed. "You stop," she shouted. "I hate you. Everybody does. You will scream yourself to death in a few minutes, and I wish you would." She went on. Her words were just the shock Colin needed. He was lying on his stomach, jumping around like a caught fish. His face was red and sullen as he gasped and choked. But Mary didn't care. "If you scream again, I will scream louder than you," she shouted. "I can't stop," he wept. "I felt a lump on my back." Then he turned over and sobbed some more, but he didn't scream. "No, you didn't," Mary said fiercely. "If you felt something, it was an imaginary hysterical lump. Let me look." She called to the nurse. "Come, show me his back this minute." The nurse, Mrs. Medlock, and Martha all huddled in the doorway. The nurse seemed afraid to touch Colin, but he gasped in fear. "So show her, then she will see." The nurse gently pulled down Colin's nightshirt to expose his spine. Colin was pitifully thin, and his ribs showed. Mary examined his back with her most solemn expression. "There's not a single lump," she proclaimed at last. "Nothing but backbone. You can feel it because you are so thin, but there's not a lump as big as a pin. If you ever say it again, I will just laugh." No one had spoken to him this way before. The adults didn't know about his secret fear, and he had never known other children who might have told him the truth. Now, Mary was so angry and crushed that he almost believed her. The nurse said, "I didn't know he thought he had a lump. His back is weak from disease, but there's no lump." "There isn't?" Colin asked with a sob. "None at all, sir," the nurse replied. "Do you think I could live to grow up for a change?" Mary heard him speak like a real boy, not like a Raja. The nurse told him what the London doctor had said. "You probably will if you do as you're told. Control your temper and get plenty of fresh air." Colin felt worn out and became gentler. Mary, too, was not angry anymore. He put out his hand for her to take. "I would like to go out with you," Colin said. "I won't hate fresh air if we can find—" He stopped himself. He had almost said the secret garden. Then he said, "I would like to go out if Deacon would push my chair. I would like to meet Deacon and his animals." The nurse brought the children cups of tea, and Mrs. Medlock and Martha slipped away. The nurse told Colin that he needed to sleep, but that Mary could stay for another half hour. When the nurse had gone, Colin squeezed Mary's hand. "I almost told them about the secret garden," he said anxiously, "but I stopped myself. Have you found a way in yet?" Mary looked into his red swollen eyes. "Yes," she said softly, "I think I have. If you go to sleep, I will tell you everything tomorrow." "Won't you tell me what you imagine it looks like?" Colin begged. "This was better than picture books. You can pretend you have seen it." Colin's eyes were already heavy, so Mary talked him to sleep. She told him how the rose vines might climb over the walls and hang from tree branches, and how daffodils and snowdrops might be growing on the ground. She told him how the birds might build their nests there, where it was safe and quiet. Colin very happily fell asleep. Chapter 18. Sharing a Secret. Mary slept late into the next morning. Martha awoke her and said, "Colin is feeling ill after his tantrum, but he asked, please see if Miss Mary will come talk to me." Imagine him saying, "Please, will you go?" Mary agreed. She was wearing her hat when she went into Colin's room. "Are you going somewhere?" he asked in a weary but pleased voice. "I have to talk to Deacon, but I will be back soon," she said. "It's about the secret garden." Colin's eyes lit up. "Oh, I dreamed about it last night," he remarked. "I will keep imagining it until you come back." 5 minutes later, Mary was in the garden. Deacon was working with 2 squirrels called Knot and Cell sitting on his shoulders. Captain lay on the ground and Soot perched on a tree branch. Mary told Deacon her idea that he could visit Colin the next day with the animals. After a few days they could bring Colin outside. A good plan," Deacon agreed. Mary wanted to stay in the garden, but she knew Colin was waiting. She hurried back to his bedside, where Colin did a strange thing. He sniffled at her. "I smells flowers and fresh things," he said. "It's cool and warm and sweet at the same time." Lad," she said, just like Deacon would. "It's the wind from the moor and the smell of new grass in springtime." Mary talked to Colin about Deacon and his animals. She told him about Soot and Captain and the 2 squirrels. She described the wild pony that followed Deacon across the moor. "Does the pony really understand Deacon?" Colin asked. "It seems like magic," Mary replied. "But Deacon says that anything will understand you if you are friends with it for sure." "I have never had anyone to be friends with," Colin said sadly, "and I can't bear other people." "What about me?" Mary asked. "Oh, I like you," Colin said. "I used to not like anybody," Mary admitted. "But I got to know Ben and the Robin and Deacon. I probably wouldn't like you if I hadn't liked them first." "I wouldn't mind Deacon looking at me," Colin said. "I'm glad," Mary answered, "because—" Then she told him about the plan for Deacon's visit, about finding the key and the ivy-covered door, and about their work to make the secret garden grow. "Oh, Mary," he said with a kind of sob, "will I live to go in and see it?" "Of course you will," Mary snapped. "Don't be silly." Colin relaxed and laughed at himself. Then Mary said, "I couldn't tell you about the garden before because I was afraid, but now I trust you for sure." Chapter 19. Colin's Visitors. Dr. Craven came to Misselthwaite Manor as always after one of Colin's tantrums. He expected to see a pale, weak, sobbing boy lying in bed. Imagine his surprise when he saw Colin sitting up on the sofa and reading a picture book with Mary. I'm sorry to hear that you were ill, the doctor said nervously. I'm much better today, said Colin the Raza, and I plan to go outside in a day or two for some fresh air. I thought you didn't like fresh air, said the doctor, taking Colin's pulse. I don't when I'm alone, Colin replied royally. But my cousin is going with me, and a very strong boy I know will push my wheelchair. Colin slept soundly that night and woke up smiling, stretching his arms and legs. His mind was full of plans and thoughts about the garden and Deacon and his wild creatures. It was nice to have good things to think about. Deacon says, Spring has come, Mary cried joyfully, bounding into his room. Colin had stayed indoors for so many years that he didn't really know about seasons changing. Open the window, he said happily. Maybe we will hear golden trumpets announcing that spring has come. He had read about such fanfare in storybooks. Mary opened the window. Lie on your back and breathe in the air. That's what Deacon does when he's on the moor. He says it makes him feel strong, like he could live forever and ever. Colin took in big, deep, sweet breaths. After a while, the nurse arrived with breakfast for the children. She was setting their places when Colin made his announcement. In his best Raza voice, he said, A boy, a fox, a crow, and 2 squirrels are coming to see me this morning. I want the servants to bring them here. The boy is Martha's brother, Deacon. He is an animal charmer. Soon after, Colin heard a caw-caw in the hallway. It's Soot, Mary said. Martha opened the door and said, If you please, sir, here's Mr. Deacon and his creatures. Deacon came in grinning widely. A crow sat on his right shoulder and a squirrel on his left. Another squirrel picked out of his pocket. Captain trotted beside him, and in his arms Deacon cradled a baby lamb. Colin stared in speechless wonder. He had never spoken to another boy before, let alone a Menage. But Deacon wasn't at all shy. He knew that creatures stare until they find out about you. So Deacon didn't say anything at first. He went over to Colin and laid the baby lamb in his arms. The lamb nudged against Colin's side. What is it doing? Colin asked. It's hungry and it wants its mother, Deacon explained. He knelt down beside Colin and took a feeding bottle from his pocket. The woolly baby began sucking on it happily. By the time the lamb fell asleep, Deacon had told Colin all about finding the little creature on the moor. As Colin and Mary listened, Soot flew in and out of the open window. The squirrels scampered onto the sill and explored a big tree outside. Captain curled up comfortably at Colin's feet. Deacon and Mary told Colin more about the garden and all that was growing there. Colin's eyes grew huge with excitement. He exclaimed, I'm really going to see it. You will, Mary said, and there's no time to lose. Chapter 20. Going outside. One day, the children gathered in Colin's room to plan how Colin could go to the secret garden without anyone else finding it. When they had decided on a plan, Colin summoned Mr. Roach, the head gardener. Mr. Roach was alarmed because he had heard stories about the boy's terrible temper and princely ways. He feared he might be ordered to cut down oak trees or dig up orchards. When he entered, Colin's room was full of animals. Colin sat in an armchair holding court. "I have some important orders for you," Colin said to Mr. Roach. "I am going outside. If the fresh air agrees with me, I may go out every day. When I'm out, the gardeners are to work in the greenhouses until I say they can go back outside." Mr. Roach was relieved. "Very well, sir," he agreed. That afternoon, the strongest footman at Misselthwaite carried Colin downstairs. The nurse helped Colin into his wheelchair, surrounded by cushions with a blanket over his legs. Then Colin waved all the grown-ups away. Deacon pushed the chair outdoors slowly and Mary walked beside it. At last they came to the long path by the ivy-covered walls. "There is where the robin flew over the wall," Mary said in a soft tone. She pointed at a spot under a lilac tree and said, "And that's where I found the key." They reached the place where the robin had perched in the ivy. "This is where the wind blew back the ivy," Mary explained. She held back the thick ivy to reveal the garden door. She turned the handle and Deacon pushed Colin forward. Colin covered his eyes until they were inside. The door clicked shut. Colin dropped his hands and took his first look at the secret garden. All around he saw the tender green vines and branches of the rose plants. Overhead bloomed the white and pink puffs of blossoms in the fruit trees. Dotting the ground were gold and purple and white flowers. The air was full of chirping and bird song. The sun felt warm on his face. Mary and Deacon both stared at Colin. There was a pink glow in his ivory face, neck, and hands. Colin took a deep breath. "I shall get well," he shouted with glee. "Mary, Deacon, and I shall live forever and ever." Thank you for spending your time here with this story. I hope it helped you relax and learn English at the same time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and continue your English learning journey with more classic audiobooks. See you in the next video.